Have you ever wondered how a serial killer could blend so seamlessly into society that even their closest family and neighbors never suspected a thing? This is the chilling story of Dennis Rader, better known as the BTK Killer. For over 30 years, Rader terrorized the Wichita, Kansas area, committing unspeakable crimes while living a seemingly normal life as a church leader, father, and community volunteer. How did he keep his monstrous side hidden for so long? And how did modern forensic technology finally bring him to justice? Dennis Lynn Rader was born on March 9, 1945, in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and grew up in the nearby town of Wichita. From an early age, Rader exhibited disturbing tendencies. He later admitted to torturing animals as a child, a common warning sign of psychopathic behavior. He also developed a fascination with bondage, which became a central theme in his crimes. Despite these red flags, Rader appeared outwardly normal to those around him. He was a quiet, average student and attended church regularly, giving no indication of the dark fantasies he harbored. After graduating high school, Rader served in the U.S. Air Force from 1966 to 1970. His time in the military provided structure and discipline, but it also gave him opportunities to refine his meticulous nature, a trait he would later use to plan his crimes. Upon returning to Wichita, Rader married Paula Dietz in 1971, and the couple had 2 children. To his family, Rader was a devoted husband and father who worked various jobs, including as a compliance officer for the city of Park City, Kansas. His job required him to enforce local ordinances, giving him a sense of power and control that mirrored his darker urges. Rader's first known murders occurred on January 15, 1974, when he targeted the Otero family in their Wichita home. The victims were Joseph and Julie Otero, along with their 2 children, Joseph Jr. and Josephine. Rader bound each family member, strangling them one by one in a horrific sequence of events. Josephine, only 11 years old, became a central figure in his fantasies, and he later confessed that he hanged her in the basement to satisfy his sadistic desires. The Otero murders shocked the Wichita community, not only for their brutality, but also for their apparent randomness. The Oteros had no connection to Rader, who admitted he chose them because their house looked accessible and they fit the profile of his twisted fantasies. Rader coined the moniker BTK, which stood for Bind, Torture, Kill, and sent taunting letters to local newspapers and law enforcement. In these messages, he detailed his crimes with chilling precision and took credit for several unsolved murders, cementing his reputation as a sadistic predator. The letters revealed Rader's need for attention and control, traits that fueled both his crimes and his ability to manipulate those around him. His correspondence also demonstrated his careful planning and awareness of forensic techniques, which allowed him to evade capture for decades. For nearly 30 years, Rader lived a double life. By day, he was a devoted husband, a doting father, and a respected member of his church, even serving as president of the Congregation Council. His role as a compliance officer allowed him to exert control over others, satisfying the same dark impulses that drove his crimes. Rader's unassuming demeanor and community involvement made him an unlikely suspect, allowing him to continue his killing spree undetected. Rader's murders were meticulously planned. He referred to his victims as projects and spent weeks or months stalking them to learn their routines. He would often break into their homes and wait for them to return, using their own belongings to bind and torture them. His ability to mask his true nature was astonishing. Even as police and the media warned the public about the BTK Killer, no one suspected that the seemingly ordinary Dennis Rader could be the monster behind the mask. After the Otero murders, Rader killed several more victims, including Catherine Bright, Shirley Vian, and Nancy Fox. Each crime followed a similar pattern of stalking, binding, and killing, with Rader often taking trophies from his victims. These mementos served as reminders of his dominance and fueled his sadistic fantasies. Despite his detailed planning, Rader occasionally left clues at the crime scenes, including DNA evidence that would later prove crucial in his capture. In the early 1990s, Rader suddenly stopped killing. For over a decade, the BTK Killer seemed to have vanished, leading some to believe he had died or been imprisoned for unrelated crimes. However, in 2004, Rader resumed his taunting communications with law enforcement. This decision would ultimately lead to his downfall. In one of his letters, Rader asked the police if they could trace information from a floppy disk. Authorities seized the opportunity, replying publicly that the disk was untraceable, a lie intended to bait Rader. He fell for the trap, sending a disk containing metadata that revealed it had been used on a computer at his church. This pivotal clue gave investigators the break they needed. They quickly linked the metadata to Rader, and further investigation uncovered a DNA match from one of his crime scenes. By comparing DNA from the scene to a sample taken from Rader's daughter during a routine medical procedure, police confirmed that Dennis Rader was the BTK Killer. On February 25th, 2005, law enforcement arrested Rader at his home in Park City, Kansas. The community was stunned to learn that the mild-mannered family man and church leader was one of the most notorious serial killers in U.S. history. During his interrogation, Rader coldly confessed to 10 murders, providing detailed accounts of each crime. His lack of remorse and matter-of-fact demeanor shocked even seasoned investigators. Rader's trial in 2005 drew national attention. As part of a plea agreement, he avoided the death penalty by confessing to all 10 murders and accepting a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. During the trial, Rader provided graphic details of his crimes, describing them as if he were recounting mundane events. Psychologists who examined Rader concluded that he exhibited traits of narcissistic personality disorder, including a grandiose sense of self-importance and a lack of empathy for his victims. The case of Dennis Rader underscores the importance of advancements in forensic technology and law enforcement tactics. The use of digital forensics to trace the floppy disk and the application of familial DNA testing were instrumental in bringing the BTK Killer to justice. These techniques have since become standard tools in solving cold cases, highlighting their critical role in modern investigations. Rader's story also serves as a stark reminder of the capacity for evil to hide in plain sight. His ability to maintain a double life for so long demonstrates the power of manipulation and the difficulty of detecting dangerous individuals who mask their true nature. How many more monsters next door are lurking undetected in our communities? And what can we do to ensure they are brought to justice? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.